most popular topic outside of the NCAA stuff that seems to be on people's mind when we do mailbag calls for this actual team is the wide receiver position. I think people think no matter what happens with Bryce Underwood being the greatest quarterback in Michigan history or anybody else quarterback in this team, if you don't have capable wide receivers, you're not going to get an offense that can win another national championship like this team just did 16 months and 3 days ago. So that is the question. Coming in from our Facebook page, David Barnwell. We get that link to that Facebook page anywhere, Jack? If not, that's cool. It is facebook.com/HarbaughGoBlue. Make sure we include the link to that down in the comments and description. Join us. Over 80,000 followers on our Facebook page for this show, for this channel. A lot of uncertainty at wide receiver for Michigan, and I don't think it helps. And I think he would have probably been a good addition back, but Tyler Morris, right, transferred, and he would have, I think, definitely been a starter on this team again. So that one ultimately was a bummer. We'll take a look at the depth chart. Want to ask you guys a question. We are publishing this, filming it, and then publishing it 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. It is Mother's Day, and as we've asked in the past, this is the kind of time as we're ramping up our content back up. If we can get 100 likes. So if you're watching this before 4 o'clock Eastern within the first hour of publishing, please give the show a like. What it does for us is it helps us get more audience, get more engagement, which signals to YouTube, hey, show this video to more Michigan football fans that have maybe never watched or heard of the show. So give us a like. Happy Mother's Day to you, to your moms, to the women in your life that you celebrate. One favor we ask for that, hit that like button, would certainly help us out. Let's take a look at the depth chart we've got coming out of spring practice. So Samaj Morgan, returning starter. Not sure if he's ever going to turn into a big-time wide receiver, right? It's just what it is. He's small. He's not as fast, I think some people think he is. He's more shifty. But Fred Moore, we saw some good stuff of him down the stretch. And Donovan McCulley really had a nice spring game, has already emerged in just 4 months on campus as the leader among the wide receivers on this team. And I think Bryce Underwood's already earned his trust. So the good side of what's going on wide receiver is you think that you might have a leading guy, someone that maybe you would have thought could have been a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver with Lloyd Carr, an Adrian Arrington type, maybe a slower Braylon Edwards type, slower and a slightly taller Braylon Edwards type, a Marquise Walker type of player. I don't think he's necessarily going to be an NFL first-round pick by any means, but 6'5", great hands, not blazing fast speed, but he is going to be the number 1 wide receiver, I think, almost absolutely. And we'll see what happens from then. I do think Michigan is going to probably have more of a running game than most Michigan fans hope, given that they actually now have a quarterback, compared to 2024. But you're going to see something different. I don't think Chip Lindsey's offense is going to mirror the 2024 or prior Harbaugh offenses in any way, shape, or form. A couple players from that. Go back to that depth chart if you can for 1 second, Jack. I just want to pull up and talk about this. A couple players that we might see some things out of, right? Andrew Marsh, right? The true freshman, I think that he is maybe an impact player, could be that 4th wide receiver. Kendrick Bell, we saw him have a couple plays last year, Ronnie's brother. Peyton O'Leary's been around forever, and he still keeps making plays, but never really gets onto the field. A lot of people excited about Channing Goodwin. And then remind me Simpson's first name, I can't remember, but the transfer from UMass, right? I didn't really hear a ton about him in the spring practice range, other than he might make an impact, but hasn't really done it on the field. Anthony, that's right, Anthony Simpson. So, there's 6, 7, 8 guys there, but I think certainly the best 2 newcomers we were excited about what we're going to get out of Donovan McCulley, and there is some, at least, excitement about the potential long-term being paired up as true freshman with Andrew Marsh, that maybe it's not sounding alarms, but I still think offensive line, wide receiver, biggest disappointments in spring, biggest disappointments in the transfer portal, and I think the areas that are going to make or break a playoff season for Michigan, beat Ohio State again, and 4 losses, right? I think it's going to come down to those 2 positions, especially the offensive line, that impacts basically everything around this program. All right, what do we got next here, Jack? We got Scott Carpenter coming from our Facebook page also. So it looks like June 6th, 7th will be the day of reckoning. What kind of punishment do you expect the NCAA to hand down? I'm going to ask you guys first, right? I'm not going to, just make mine. I want to ask you guys, the audience here. So I think there's 3 points of punishment. There's the hammer, right? I think I'll tell you what I think about. I'll explain them in a second. I'm going to give you guys, I want you all to type H, M, or S. Hammer, I'm going to explain all these in a second. Middle ground, or slap on the wrist. So let's take a look at what these all could mean. Hammer to me means I think it's got to include a vacated national championship. If you're calling a hammer, or they keep the national championship, but they strip all the wins, and that's an NCAA, that's a college football playoff thing. The NCAA is going to strip all the wins, so you lose all those 30-some-odd wins, 15, 13, 12, so 40 wins, right? 40-3 over 3 seasons. You lose that, you strip the Big Ten titles, and okay, you keep the national championship because it's not necessarily run by the NCAA, but all the NCAA level stuff, vacated wins, we're taking those because we think this Connor Stalions and Cheeseburger Gate are so egregious that it needs to be punished to the fullest part. So that's one of those things. It's either vacated wins of seasons or multiple seasons, or taking away a national championship. So that's the hammer to me. The middle ground is, I think, probably a middle ground is maybe a 1-year bowl ban of this year, or potentially, adding on to Sherrone Moore's suspension. Maybe he's suspended 4 or 6 games, and there's other people suspended, and there may be even some sort of I've heard people rumor this, I don't know how it's possible, but NIL limitation saying, Michigan has to, reduce their planned NIL or whatever they have by $5 million or by 30% or 30% that they spent last year, which I think given the NCAA's new mandate of having to put $22 million, that would be a big hit. So that's kind of the middle ground. It's something, but it doesn't take away from what we all saw on the field. And then slap on the wrist, I think they just accept what Sherrone Moore has already done, right? That's a 2-game suspension. He picks the games, the 3rd and 4th of the game, 3 games of no recruiting, or 3 weeks no recruiting this spring. We're currently in, and then maybe the rumored 2 games of no visitors this fall. That would be the slap on the wrist, right? Because the NCAA is not telling you who their source is on this stuff. Now, there's some rumors out there. Alex Ude, you guys remember Alex Ude, the pervert that Isaiah Hole, the pedophile, right? That was trying to buy vodka to try and hook up with a 14 or 13-year-old girl, got caught wearing his Michigan hoodie that Isaiah Hole covered for. Well, there's a lot of rumors out there that he is the only potential source that the NCAA is using. And they are so scared of telling people that their source is a pedophile, they are just kind of playing dodgy and shadowing games. They're saying we have a source, but they won't tell anybody outside of their offices who the source is at Michigan that's giving up anything that could be seen strong enough to be anything more than slap on the wrist / middle ground from what we're seeing there. So I just can't fathom that vacated wins, but I think a bowl ban could be 50-50 at this point, right? I don't know. I mean, I feel that Michigan's trying to get ahead of that, but that's what the NCAA seem to historically have done. They want to give you a 1-year bowl ban, sometimes 2-year bowl ban, but I don't think they would go that far if they're going forward, because that's punishing future players who weren't a part of that 3-year run that they're trying to punish. Now, if Michigan takes a bowl ban, heads need to roll. And here's the reason why. If they were going to take a bowl ban, this is their job. Ward Manuel, Sherrone Moore, Dave Abloff, right? All the people in the athletic department, the administration side, they should have known. And everybody in Michigan fan knew that this team with that quarterback situation wasn't going to be a national championship team in 2024. No matter how much we want to lie to ourselves, we knew that at best it was going to be a 9 or a 10 win team. We all knew that a year ago, no matter what lies we told ourselves. Let's be clear there. Now, we go back to 2011. Ohio State in a similar situation. Joe Bauserman, right, because they had to lose their quarterback, Terrell Pryor, suspended, had to go to the NFL in the supplemental draft. Jim Tressel, fired, left the program in May, had to go with Luke Fickell, an interim coach, went 6-7. Had they given themselves a self-imposed bowl ban in 2011, the 6-7 year, kind of like Michigan's 8-5 year, they would have probably won the national championship in 2012. If you recall, Urban Meyer comes in, goes 12-0, can't play in the Big Ten title game, can't play in the BCS championship game, and it wouldn't have been against Alabama, the national champion. Remember, who was number 1? It was Notre Dame. So it would have been likely number 1 Ohio State, number 2 Notre Dame. Alabama wouldn't have been in there. They lost the game. They would have been number 3. I think Ohio State that year would have certainly crushed that 2012 Notre Dame team, and it cost them a national title. I hope it doesn't cost Michigan, maybe not a national title, but certainly a college football playoff bid. What if Michigan goes 11-0, 12-1, or 12-0, 11-1 this year, and can't go to the Big Ten championship game, can't go to the college football playoff? Heads need to roll if that is the ultimate punishment from this program. All right, where are we at? Michael Champagne. You should just change your name to Champagne, brother. That's a good name. With a more competitive Big Ten and road schedule, how do you prepare for a team for to handle high pressure situations. Well, I think we have to get to that in a second, Jack. I think I've got to talk to people about our sponsor. We're deep into the show today. I don't want to go too far without talking to people about our sponsor, and that is Factor. We're excited to have Factor back as a sponsor of the Michigan Football Report. Now, wife is back in town. Don't have to make Factor tonight. We're going out as a family for Mother's Day, but oh, baby, do I love my Factor meals. Make this season the best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat. Perfect for any active lifestyles. You got 45 weekly menu options, so you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals, choosing from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and dessert. It is easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. Get 50% off your first box and free shipping with our code MichiganChat50off at factormeals.com/MichiganChat50off. I've got the link and the promo code down in the description and the comments of today's video. Go down there and click on it, factormeals.com/MichiganChat50off. Use that code MichiganChat50off. 50% off your first box and free shipping. Let's take a look at this road schedule. So got the question. It said, from Michael Champagne, with more competitive Big Ten rough road schedule, how do you prepare your team to handle pressure situations? So Oklahoma, Nebraska, USC. Now, the interesting thing that we have here is that those are 3 of the 7, maybe 8, right, blue bloods in college football. For me, it's those 3 schools, plus Texas, plus Michigan, plus Ohio State, plus Notre Dame, Alabama. And that could be it. Some people make an argument for Penn State. Some people make an argument for Georgia. But those are 3 that are absolutely guaranteed of the 7 Blue Bloods. Michigan has to go on a road with them with potentially a true freshman quarterback in the first 6 weeks of the year. So listen up to Coach Jimmy. When we go on the road, you hear those cheers. You hear those cheers for that other team. You hear the boos for us. Flip them in your mind, okay? This is our crowd. We came here to make these people cheer for us, and that's what we're going to do. When the crowd gets hyped, we get hyped, okay? This Michigan football team is going to go into Oklahoma, going to go into Memorial Stadium in Nebraska, going to go out to USC, and we're going to win, just like we did at Ohio State this year, just like we did in the college football playoff 2 years ago, just like we did in 2022 at Ohio State. You got to play as hard as you can, as long as you can, as fast as you can. You give it everything you got. I don't care if we're not sleeping in our beds tonight. We're sleeping in a hotel. That hotel is our bedroom, and this stadium is ours. Get out there, man, and get a victory for Michigan. How do you like that speech, Jack? We're good? All right. Can't really get 100 likes in the first hour of today's show. Quick reminder from the top if you haven't done it yet. If you like that speech, right? Motivating speech. I like that. It's a Jim Harbaugh. It's other people have used it, but I think I may have messed it up there. It's you play as hard as you can, as fast as you can, for as long as you can. You give it everything you got. Give it everything you got on this video with a like. Jeremy Tipton, coming in from the YouTube channel, so thank you, Jeremy. Any chance of Michigan ever getting a top 100 wide receiver? They seem allergic to them. Maybe Michigan's allergic to the receivers or vice versa. So we got Andrew Marsh, right? So it's not like it hasn't happened recently, right? It's been a few years, but we've got Andrew Marsh, not a consensus top 100, but 120 or so, right? 116 in the 24/7 Sports top 100 consensus. And then multiple services, including 24/7 themselves, had him in the top 100. He's electric, right? Go watch his film. When he committed out of the state of Texas, not too far where we are at in Dallas, it's an impact player, and Michigan probably should have got that one player whose name I forget that was also a high 4-star, low 5-star commit to LSU that ended up going to I think Notre Dame or somewhere, but it certainly has been great from wide receiver recruiting over the last few years. But I think Andrew Marsh is an impact player. By the end of the year, I bet he's up there as the 2nd or 3rd receiver for getting looks, and probably is your front runner to be your wide receiver 1 in the 2026, 2027, and beyond seasons. I do know that after this year, Michigan is going to make it a damn priority to get instant impact wide receivers, even if it takes breaking the bank for Bryce Underwood's sophomore and junior season. So it hasn't been forever, but certainly it hasn't been going great. I think they need to prove on the field that they can throw the ball in the post-J.J. McCarthy era. D with the question. Big game Don was Big game Don the real draft sub. Didn't get drafted. It hurts. Even TreVeyon Henderson was taken before him. I mean, Henderson was a second-round draft pick, so I don't know how you can really compare the two at this point from a snub versus not. But let's just take a look. Right? Was it really a snub comparatively? If you're being objective, Henderson was starting as a true freshman, had some injuries, kind of messed up a season or two for him there. But, the Don was behind, Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins for his first 3 years, and then he really lost the job to Kalel Mulling, so he was never a full-time starter at Michigan, had almost 1,000 yards as a sophomore, but much more carries, right? Almost 200 more carries, 1,500 more yards, about the same receptions, about the same receiving yards, and Henderson put the ball in the end zone. The Don had, a handful of receiving touchdowns, a handful, a couple dozen rushing touchdowns, or 15, 18 of them, and remember, 2 passing touchdowns that a lot of people forget about, including in the Big Ten championship game as a true freshman in 2021. So there's no comparison to me from an NFL draft prospect because the Don, I love him. He just didn't shake out as a true back, and they never got him involved in the running game. Jack, I know you want to say something about TreVeyon Henderson. What do you want to add? You want to jump in here real quick?
I do just want to say, if you're talking about value to a team, this interesting note came in today at the day recording this.
Yeah.
The only Patriots draft pick not spotted at rookie minicamp was TreVeyon Henderson. The other 10 draft picks were present.
Hammer coming for Ohio State? Hammer?
People are talking.
Avoiding the media? Interesting. So the Don got picked up as an undrafted free agent. I don't think Michigan coaching staff did him any favors over the years, including last year's staff, right? Of getting him the ball in areas that he could excel, which is down the field as a pass catcher. We all saw he struggled getting the ball. Anytime there wasn't an exact huge hole, he had trouble, finding the hole. Something that Blake Corum did maybe better than anybody in Michigan football history. Very similar to Mike Hart. I hope he does well. I hope he makes the team. If not, maybe go to Canada for a year, come back. I think Donovan Edwards does have a future of the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years until his late 20s, early 30s. He will catch on somewhere, hopefully in the NFL, and he'll make himself some nice money in the sport of football. I am a lifelong Donovan Edwards fan. My son was obsessed with him when he was 6 years old after the 2022 game, 75 yards, 85 yards. The Don, if you guys remember this, last year at big national championship media game, I went up, showed him a video of my son wearing, he's like, let's go, I'm wearing today on a game day. It's like the Don, and he pulled it off. He had another Don jersey, 2 Donovan Edwards jerseys. I showed that to Donovan Edwards, and he had this message. It's the Don.
Preston, your pops just showed me a video of you. We appreciate the support. I appreciate the support. Go Blue. Thank you for everything, my friend.
That's awesome. Appreciate it. So a lot of love, the parent points that came with that video after he was obsessed with him for a full year. And I got that video that I was with him, standing next to him. He said my son's name. We'll never forget that for Donovan Edwards. That was an awesome moment. Let's talk about this one. So why do you think Santa left for Florida? It's tough to say. There's so many rumors out there. I don't really need to go and speculate what you could find elsewhere. I don't really have an insight into Michigan, high-level university politics. But there's a lot of opposing fans saying, oh, he's getting out before the hammer comes. I don't think Florida would take him if they thought that was happening. And I think maybe the job was too big for him a little bit. The Michigan's, endowment is one of the biggest in the country, only short of the Ivy Leagues and some other schools, and maybe he didn't see eye to eye with some of the policies that the Board of Trustees wanted him to have. All right, Young Harbaugh, Jack Lotteray coming with a question on Instagram. Is the hammer really coming, or OSU and Ohio State and Michigan fans delusional? I don't think the hammer is coming. I don't think that Michigan's going to lose Big Ten championships or have vacated seasons or lose a national championship. But what I do know is that Michigan is going to beat Ohio State again. It is Bosa season once again. 6 months and 2 weeks until Michigan beats Ohio State again. So comment Bosa down below if you put out the vibes. Put out the good vibes. Let's get some Bosa train rolling one more time. It feels so good. I feel good the rest of the year when Michigan beats Ohio State like they basically have. For a decade at this point, right? This is the entire decade. It's 2025. For a decade, they beat Ohio State again. Some Mother's Day shout-outs I want to give to my own, some Michigan moms in my life. So that's my son in the middle. Wife is the brunette. And that's my sister. That's the Michigan-Texas game. So I want to show them some love. Happy Mother's Day. Happy thanks for supporting the show, going to the game, letting me go to the game, et cetera, et cetera. There's also my cousins are in there with the wife and the sister, and that's later in the day after the Texas game. And my 2 cousins are there. Now, one of them, not a big Michigan football fan, but she went to a ton of games with me when, the 2017, 18, 19 seasons when 4 tickets didn't always have that 4th. She was a ride or die, and my other cousin there is a mother. That's her daughter holding her, to that one right there. And she is a mother, big-time Michigan football supporter. Cuz Michelle, Cuz Jesse, happy Mother's Day to you, Cuz Jesse, and Aunt Michelle as well. That's her house that we are taking a picture of. Happy Mother's Day to Aunt Michelle. One more question, I think, here on the show. Will Donovan McCulley be a better version of Roman Wilson in the 2023 season? Big shoes to fill up to, right? Roman Wilson had a hell of a start of the year, won maybe the Alabama game with that catch, and after his mistake on the Blake Corum fourth down, got the game-tying touchdown underneath, and was a big-time performer, right? Had 10 touchdowns kind of midway through the year. Didn't really, continue that pace out there, but 12 touchdowns from a Michigan football team that didn't throw the ball a ton in the red zone was an accomplishment. So I don't think he's going to get 12 touchdowns this year. Will he get 780, whatever the number was, yards? I would say that's probably the best you can imagine. So impact, TB to determine. Catches and yards, I could say yes. I would say that's probably what you should expect from him. Touchdowns, I would struggle to see him getting 12 touchdowns with a true freshman quarterback in the schedule that Michigan has. So reminder, we are pushing to 35,000 subs. I've talked about the sub number here in the last few shows. 34,427. So we are 573 away. 35,000, kind of a big milestone, middle of a 10,000 pack on the way to 40,000. So subscribe if you haven't yet. Enjoy your Mother's Day. Like that video like we asked you so we can get in the feed of more Michigan football fans, and go blue.